Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we have a very special show today. If you're watching us live, you know it's either a Saturday or Sunday, wherever you are in the world. What an incredible time to come together and celebrate the empowerment of women in business. This show is a tribute to women all across the world who are literally game changers, people who are role models, people who are helping other women move forward in their career and in their lives. Joining me today is my co-host, a very special gentleman. I'm going to introduce him after I bring him out. His name is Mark Stephen Pooler. Let's welcome him from the UK. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Jacalyn. Thank you for putting on this great conversation today with incredible women, and I'm really looking forward to a great show with you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm looking forward to it as well. And, you know, you are an inspirational speaker. You are someone who helps people with their public relations. You have your own agency. And as a result of the incredible work that you're doing, giving people a spotlight, a place to share their stories, you've connected with some amazing people yourself, specifically ELENA CARDONE. So I'd love to just spotlight you and for you to share a little bit about why you're so passionate about helping people get their story out there. And then you'll tell us a little bit about how you met ELENA.
Of course. So I'm Mark Stephen Pooler, the Global Profile Builder. I support entrepreneurs to get seen, noticed and heard with worldwide digital media to become known globally. When I started my career in entrepreneurship, I had no profile, so I made a lot of mistakes along the way. So I just love now helping people to really shine a light on them so that they can get seen, noticed and heard through digital media, television podcasts, radio episodes, press releases, really shining a light on them. And it took the attention off me because I realized supporting my clients, I love seeing them shine a light and really helping them not to make all the mistakes that I made along the way to get my public profile out there to the world. So I just love supporting people, shining a light on them and helping them build their global profiles really quickly.
Thank you so much, Mark. And we have an incredible group of women who are here today. How did you actually have them reach out to them to collaborate on this project?
So I got ELENA CARDONE involved in the project with me. We did an interview with ELENA CARDONE, and she also agreed that she would be part of a really great campaign where we did a massive social media promotion and a great article piece along with a press release. And I contacted great women in business. Many of them have already worked with them before. They're great friends, they're great clients. And I know they love serving the world through their products and services as well. So they were already part of my network, Jacalyn, and part of my world. And I have great belief in them. And they're doing their own great things in the world. So I just reached out to them saying, I've got this great campaign with ELENA CARDONE. I'd love you to be a part of it. And they all said yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And thank you for including me in the project as well. And something that I know you know, Mark, as well as the lovely ladies backstage, is that it's all about collaboration. And I'm going to have each of them talk a little bit about that. But in some mindsets, in some perspectives, it's about competition. And I truly believe that when we're just looking at what we're competing against or who we're competing against, we're missing opportunities to really collaborate. And one, just a quick example I'll share is when I was at an in-person television station, I also had a radio show, and I was told by one of the entities that I had to give up one or the other because they were competitors. And I said, no, that's not the case, because I can promote what you're doing over here as well as what's going on over there. And this gentleman was adamant about it, that no, that was competition. So thank you for encouraging collaborations as we do here on this platform. We're going to bring out the wonderful panelists, and then we'll introduce them so nobody's stuck backstage. Let's welcome each of these wonderful individuals. We're going to go around and we'll introduce you. Welcome to Edith, welcome to Dawn, welcome to Gwen, and welcome to Dee. Nice to see you. It's very nice to have you here today. So we are a global channel, and I know that we have people from different parts of the world. Anybody from the US? All right. Anybody from the UK? All right. Anybody from somewhere else? Is that Dawn?
You can't see my hand.
Okay, there's your hand. Fabulous, fabulous. So we're going to go around, and each of you are going to talk a little bit about why you got involved with this project. But one thing I want to do first of all is thank you. Thank you for your openness to continue the collaboration, because we all worked together on an article that Mark had published, and also we could take an opportunity to say, well, okay, that's enough. We can stop there. But you were open to doing a TV show so that the messaging can continue, and that each one of you is a representative for collaboration, for promoting and empowering others. So, Mark, I'd love to have you share just a little bit about the magazine article, and then we can go around and let's have each of us share.
So I got ELENA CARDONE involved in the article, and it was all about women in business creating abundance and success in their business life and their work life as well, their work-life balance, which I felt was a really good topic, which ELENA CARDONE was absolutely perfect for, because she balances a really multi-million dollar business, but also she balances her family life and lifestyle as well. And then I got all these incredible women involved as well, because they're all successful in their own right and balancing their own work-life balance as well.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to bring up your website now so we can take a look at it and then talk a little bit more. So we're looking right now for our friends who are listening on a platform as opposed to watching. We're looking at MSP News Global. And this is really an incredible platform for people to get recognized, to share their stories, and again, to collaborate. Anything else you'd like to add, Mark?
It's just a great platform. I'm really proud of it. I launched it around 6 years ago now, and since day one, I had great success with it. I've been lucky and fortunate to work with some of the biggest names in business and entrepreneurship, including most of the original cast of The Secret movie, even having some of them as full-time clients and having them in articles, interviewing them not just once, many times. I've interviewed them over and over again. So it's a really great platform to build credibility, authority, get exposure, and it's also a Google News approved platform as well.
Thank you, Mark. And of course, for those who are watching, you can see we've stopped right here specifically because two things: a different worldview with MSP columnist Dawn Bates. Dawn is in the house. Woo! Go, Dawn. And also we see the article that we're referring to here, World-Class Women in Business Share Tips to Create Success and Abundance. Edith, why did you decide to become a part of this project?
So I knew Mark for a long time, and then he invited me, and I was really excited about it because I'm also following ELENA and I am in her program. So I'm really excited to work with her. I love what she's teaching and how she is actually influencing the world. So I was very excited about to come up with my own way of finding the work-life balance, and that is actually mindfulness. And within mindfulness, like how you control your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And that is going back to the point that you need to find like why you got actually out of mindfulness, like why you need to find that balance is because you got triggered every day, and then those triggers are coming to you because you have some core trauma to release. And I help people to find those core trauma and heal from those core trauma so they can get off the emotional roller coaster and eventually control their emotions, and also controlling their thoughts through subconscious reprogramming, having positive beliefs, creating positive habits in life. So basically this create positive actions, and this is how you can have a healthy and happy life.
Thank you very much. How would you describe the work that you do as a holistic mentor?
It's holistic because I also, when a client comes to me, I question also like what is their sleep pattern, what they eat during the day, if they have enough nutrients, you know, are they taking any supplements, and also like what is the relationship in their life, like how is their connection with people, how they feel at work. So that's why it's holistic, because this all actually can affect like why they are having panic attacks, why they are depressed. It's not just because of maybe a PTSD situation, but it can be many, many things. So that's why I actually call it a holistic way.
Thank you very much. Would any of the other panelists like to comment on what Edith shared?
I think it's great what you're doing, Edith. I think subconscious programming is really, really important, and triggers are something that affect people, and if you let them take over the mind with fear triggers, it is something that you do have to work on to control those emotions. So I think the work you're doing is really, really special.
And I think it's also needed because a lot of doctors do not actually understand or don't actually have the time to actually dive into it. You walk into a doctor's surgery, you might be well presented, you might be suffering from complex PTSD, but the doctor's only got 5 minutes with you. They look at the way you're dressed, they see you're putting on that brave face, you've pushed down your trauma, you're fine, on you go. Waiting to an extreme amount of waiting time, and we're seeing a huge rise in suicide because people are not getting the help that they need. So I really think the work you're doing, Edith, is absolutely crucial and important in the world.
Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Edith. Gwen, anything you'd like to share?
I love the work that you're doing. It is so crucial. There are those that, as Dawn was saying, you come into the doctor's office and you look like you are the picture of health, and they have no idea that maybe at home you have a narcissist that's totally tearing you down and you're only putting on a good face in the outside world, but at home you are torn apart and completely destroyed in your personal life, and yet professionally, there you are. You're the success. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you all. Okay, we're going to go forward and we're going to hear from Dawn. Dawn and I had a very nice conversation, I have to say. We could have spent, I think, hours just chatting along. So thank you so much for your time. You're an author, activist, and a publishing Disrupt Her with a capital H. Tell us a little bit about that and the value that you can bring to our audience.
Well, I write books and help other people write books around the realm of human rights, social justice, and cultural cohesion rather than cultural diversity, because we all know we're different. And it's about time we all started focusing on our similarities rather than our differences. And I just felt that there's a lot of people within the publishing world that are not always honest when it comes to certain things. A lot of people feel that self-publishing isn't an option for them because it's not really serious publishing, is it? And so I wanted to give people the information. I've been in the publishing world for over 26 years, and I feel that when we actually share our stories, I've read recently that when we share our stories loudly, we help other people heal privately. And I think that actually goes a very long way, because there are so many people out there that are actually needing to see the realism that's actually going on in the world, and they need to know that it's actually possible for them to publish. And when we're told that that we're only a success if one of the big four have published us, or it's only the way of being validated, I think that actually puts a lot of people behind before they've even got forward. So we have to start reframing what it means to be a self-published author. I was published by a traditional publisher. I fought for 3 years to bring my book back to myself, made more money in 3 months than I did in 3 years with my previous publisher. And then because I'm an entrepreneur, I poured all my entrepreneurship into my publishing career and my writing career. And when you choose to self-publish, people have to understand that you have to invest in yourself, because if you're not going to invest in yourself, why would anybody else? And I think that this is what people have got to understand, that the self-published authors, a lot of us are very professional entrepreneurs. We're not just people that just want a quick upload and quick Canva chaos cover, as I like to call it, because you really don't want to see a cover that I've designed. And I really think people need to start viewing the publishing world and how to write a book, because the problem we've got is with a lot of the platforms, anyone can write a book, but that is also the problem. Anyone can publish and write a book.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. And, it's interesting. I started writing books and I've published a number of them. And people who have traditional publishers, they've said to me, I can think of two people, oh, self-published. Just, you're like, ooh, get away from me. What kind of changes, Dawn, have you seen in the publishing industry overall with all of your years of experience there?
There's the positive side. We're seeing a lot more women in publishing. We're seeing a lot more women say, I actually don't need your permission. I actually don't need to hide behind a man's name. I mean, many people talk about J.K. Rowling. Her publisher actually encouraged her to have just 2 initials. She was just going to go with 1, but they actually said go with 2. It's more masculine. She's also now republishing books under, I think it's like David Galbraith. So here we have a woman who is publishing under a man's name. And we saw that with George Eliot. Come on, ladies, we need to, as I like to say, own our ovaries and actually, own our power. And we actually need to look at the way in which we can harness the power of philanthropy through literature. And going back to what we were talking about with Edit, when we use the healing power of writing a book and writing our journey, we can heal from trauma. We can help other people heal from trauma, because there is that element where a lot of people cannot afford therapy, they cannot afford a counsellor. But by us working together, we're seeing a lot more memoir, a lot more self-help books, which is great. And that's actually helping other people who can't afford therapy and counselling to actually heal themselves. So not only are the writers healing, but the readers are also healing along that journey. And that's something that I actually help a lot of people do. I help them write their book. Whether that book will ever be published or not, it's that healing journey I take them on. And when we publish it, a lot of the time, like my menopause book that I wrote with 10 other people, all the proceeds of that book go to women's projects around the world. The Man Up book that I've just published with a man's mental health suicide, all of the royalties from that, they go to Tough to Talk charity in the UK to help prevent male suicide. And again, it's all about when we collaborate, to touch on your point that you mentioned at the top of the show, when we collaborate on these books, the royalties, they all go to charity. And then it's down to the individual authors to actually buy and sell the copies of their books so that they make the money, and then they can do with that as they wish. But all the royalties come in, they go to charity.
Thank you so much, Dawn. There's so many offshoots of what you just said. Imposter syndrome comes up. I definitely want to go there in a few minutes. But who would like to share comments or feedback about? Yes, please.
Dawn, I absolutely loved that you brought up the speak your story loudly so others can heal privately. It is so true. I remember a speaker sharing with me that, actually sharing with a room, that the story that you least want to tell is the story that most people need to hear. You're helping so many people heal. It's so exciting. I totally get why you and Dr. Jacalyn had such a great conversation. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. I want a conversation with Dawn.
We'll have a Dawn sign-up sheet at the end of the show. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to share something about what Dawn shared? Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, is that okay with the mic? Yeah. I absolutely, I sort of share your story loudly as well. But when you also said about writing yours and it doesn't have to be published, that is part of my healing journey as well. The traumatic event that I went through, which I'll explain another time, a little bit later on. But I actually did that. I wrote a book on my laptop, page chapters, but I knew it could never be published because of the other people involved and that reason for suing and things like that. But it's so healing. It's such a therapeutic journey. So I love the fact that you're helping women do that too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the shares. And by the way, if no one's speaking, just go ahead and voice whatever your comment or opinion is. Let's go over to, go ahead. Edith, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just love this conversation as an author myself, because I went through that journey that I went to a publisher to publish my book, and then yes, it's taking away like 80% of the income basically, so you don't leave too much for yourself. So I would love to learn more, yes, about how to do the self-publishing in a sufficient way, because I was scared of it as well, because of I saw this so much work, that's why I choose the publisher, like, oh, they're going to do the job, instead of me. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is really great what you are saying, that everything is about belief. And then if people don't have the belief that they are able to do it, then they won't do it. So it's really important to open eyes for this. Yeah.
I think it's really important what you just said there, Edith, about a lot of people think that, if they go to a big publisher, they're going to get lots of royalties. Most big publishers these days only pay between $3,000 and $5,000 per book. But what they're actually doing is buying your copyright. Yeah. People don't understand that. Whereas when people come to, I do not take any royalties. I do not buy the copyright. I am the guardian of people's copyright. And if they want to leave, that's up to them. But again, even when they're published by a big publisher, they actually have to do a lot of the work, and people don't know that. And that's why I have my author academy where I'm educating people. Need a cup of tea. It's English, 4 o'clock. But I think that's the thing, people need to be educated about what it means to be an author.
This is really important conversation, because I truly believe there's a book inside of everyone. And yet many times people are overwhelmed. They have the storyline and they want to get it on paper. Then they get it on paper. They don't know exactly what to do. And then it's sitting on a shelf somewhere. So this is great that we're all here talking about how to empower other people. Gwen, I'm going to move over to you. And by the way, I love your energy from the last time we met and you were backstage. I just feel this radiant, positive energy coming off of you. And you're always smiling. So you're a purpose coach. What does that mean exactly? And how can you help our audience?
It is my belief that absolutely everyone's purpose on the planet is to be themselves. And we have so many projections, programming patterns that block us, keep us, people telling us who we are supposed to be, that we don't get to be ourselves. And so I show entrepreneurs and empathic women and a few smart men how they can rediscover their purpose of just being themselves and then loving who they be, because that's a huge thing. And like the article that we wrote about self-care being so important and being able to balance life with work. I remember a mentor saying, if you want to double your business, you need to double your self-care. And that's one of the messages that I wanted to get out there, and why I said yes to this project. And so as a purpose coach, I help people discover that their purpose is to be themselves and to love that. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. That's a tough one, to be ourselves, isn't it? Because I feel like we're always putting on masks and trying to be what somebody else wants us to be. And I know for me at 61, I think I'm maybe 50% there, still more work to do. So Gwen, can you share a little bit, or what are some of the steps that we need to take in order to become ourselves? Like maybe just one or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest one, and I'm 64, by the way, so, you know, not having to wear all those masks, it gives you a lot more energy. So the first one, the easiest one, is to recognize that the projections that other people are putting on you are about them. And it's the things that they want in life, is the things they want for you. It is not about you. When somebody says something to you, they're telling you about themselves. So that is absolutely the easiest one. When someone's telling you something, they like, oh, you're self-published, or you're only a collaborator in a book. Hey, you're still an author. So that's about them and their insecurities. It's not about you. When we get to the patterns, that's a little more difficult. The programming, that goes deep. But the patterns, when you start recognizing patterns in your life on, you know, like how did I respond or react, typically react to something that somebody said, or a situation that it's very traumatic. Maybe you've been through trauma, as most of us have. I mean, if we're out here sharing loudly, it's because we've had some deep wounds, and we've come through and recognized the patterns and shifted them, made new habits from our patterns. Is that helpful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Very well stated. Who would like to comment on what Gwen shared?
I'd just like to say Gwen's so passionate about supporting people to overcome all of these challenges, like the programming, and to get through when they've had traumas and narcissistic relationships. And I just know how passionate she is about helping people. So she's a great, great asset to this planet. And thank you for being part of the project, Gwen.
One thing I'd love to just share and put out into the universe, because we are here to empower other people, is when someone asks you a question, like, for example, I've been asked, typically by men, sorry, not sorry, do you think you work too much? Do you think you work out too much? And I can see exactly what Gwen's saying. That's about them. They're thinking, maybe I should work more. Maybe they should work more, or they should work out more. And then I'll put it back to them and I'll say, how do you feel about how much time you're spending working? Well, you know what? I'm not. So there's a way that you can flip the switch sort of without taking it personally, and maybe get the other party to start looking at themselves, right? Yeah.
That's right. Great point.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments before we go over to our last lovely panelist? Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to add that actually when I was trained to be a karma yogi in India with my guru, then he was teaching that one of our main duty is actually find ourselves, to be our true self, and then find our true self. Yeah. So this is absolutely resonates with me. It's awesome.
Well, it's like that old adage, when you point the finger at someone else, there's always three pointing back at you.
It's so true. And, you know, the other thing is, somebody said this to me recently, we're only here for a short amount of time. When are you going to love yourself? You know, how much time do you have left? You've been hating yourself. When are you going to love yourself and just appreciate all that you have, that you're putting into the world, right?
I think one of the biggest things for me was when I was doing some meditating, and I actually heard like myself say to myself, if I was to say all of these things to somebody else, would that person still like me? All of this negative self-talk that I was giving myself. And I think this is the thing that, you know, when we actually start to love ourselves, we go, oh, you're so full of yourself. Go, actually, I am. I'm full of love for myself. I'm full of respect for myself. I'm full of admiration for myself, because I know where I started. And we should not be afraid to be full of ourselves.
That's fantastic, Dawn. Yes.
Absolutely. Dawn, when you and I had our call, I was like, she's confident. I like that. That's attractive when someone's
Took
confident.
me a long time. It took me lots of
Good for
deep work.
Woo! All right, we're going to go over to the founder of Your Emotional Detox, which is Di Merrick.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. I think that probably the best way to describe what I do for people is work, first of all, with emotions rather than mind. Mind is obviously included, and mindfulness very, very important in life. But what I found was some people struggle with talk-based therapies, and I work with emotions rather than talking through that, finding emotions and root cause of emotions. I do this because just over 20 years ago now, I experienced a trauma and wasn't allowed professional help. I was part of a court case that lasted 2 years. So in that depth of despair of trying to just survive day by day, I had no one to turn to. So I looked within myself, and within that, it was almost like a surprise that what I thought the triggers weren't from that moment in time. It was further back. So I think, Gwen, you'd mentioned about the deep stuff. That's more about where I work from. We find with my clients that we just look for the root cause of the emotion, and that can be in childhood. Most of our traumas are in childhood, and what the triggers are doing is the build up of momentum. So once you've built that momentum, those triggers can be really instant, or they can be occasional, depending on what other experiences in life you have. So my passion really is emotional base. The emotions, if you can release those and then celebrate and embrace how you feel in the day, rather than being hostage to the triggers and the emotional pain that you've been holding and not know how to release. Once you do that, and you can then live and embrace all emotions. So allow yourself to be angry, but not carry it to bed with you. Allow yourself a little frustration, but not hold on to that. When I was asked by the wonderful Mark to collaborate with this, that's the point of view that I wanted to get across. And also that people had naturally come to me with a desire to help them with their business. And that surprised me, because then working through the emotional side of a business then helped them to move forward. And I've had amazing sort of turnarounds for people's businesses. And that inspired me to then also work within that niche as well, not just the emotions, but how, and it's usually women, although I do have some male clients, but the emotional sort of side to business and letting that go so you free yourself. And it's not just fears. There's all sorts of emotions there that entrap you, and they're not being good enough. That's a key one as well. And we work through those to find ourselves, as Gwen has just pointed out. I'm really honoured that I've got 20-year-olds or 80-year-olds. They're still looking for something. And when they work with that emotion, to have a 20-year-old find themselves is just fantastic. To have an 80-year-old, it's like, yes, finally, I've done it. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. It really, really doesn't. But all of that life that you are living, the common denominator is you. You can go on holiday, you can change your house, you can change your job, you can change your partner, but you are the one that carries how you feel. So if you work on how you feel and then change that, don't be satisfied with, it's okay, that's how I deal with things. Don't deal with them. Let them go.
Great work, Di. And I think it's great that you're working with emotions, but also we have so many different emotions, and allowing yourself to feel that whole spectrum of emotions, but being able to not let them take over you. I think that's really important as well, because it's so easy to try and get rid of things from your mind or from your emotions, but then you're just rejecting a part of yourself. You have to accept all parts of yourself and love all parts of yourself. So I think, again, that's really great work that you're doing, Di.
Thank you, Mark. And it also allows others to have a bad day, and then you not react to them having a bad day. So you don't take that personally. And that really is knowing yourself.
I was just listening to Neville Goddard. Thanks, Mark. Great series. Thank you very much for those. I remember recently I started doing yoga, And I've had an on-off love affair with yoga for many years. And I realized that one of the reasons why I kept running from yoga was because of the trauma and the emotions that were trapped in my body. And the more I did yoga, the more they wanted to be released, and the more I wanted to run from it. And I'm like, okay, just be with it. And I'm also someone who used to do MMA, so like, yoga was like, is that really a workout? But it's a very different kind of workout, and working with the emotions and working with the body and releasing all of those trapped emotions, combined with like the work that you do there, Doug, it's so potent and powerful. So yeah.
And that's a really valid point, Dawn. People don't realize the parasympathetic system gets stored in your body. And when they've had pain for 20 and 30 years, it's like, no, I live with that. I do this, I take that. It's like, well, it's emotional. Let's work through the emotion. And then it's like their shock, it's like it's gone. And I see them the following week. It's like, how's the pain? What pain? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for the work that you're doing. I want to talk a little bit about the fact that this is a collaboration project. That's how we got connected. And I know if we're working alone versus working in a team, there's different things that come up for us. So one thing that came up for me when I was in corporate is we'd sit around the conference room table and everybody on Monday would go around and say what it was they were working on. And I always felt intimidated. I always felt like I didn't have enough going on, or what I was working on wasn't what it should be. I always felt inferior. And so my question for you is, when you're working in a collaboration like this one, how do you overcome any feelings of doubt that you might have, like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough for this collaboration, or you see the backgrounds of other people? And I don't know, does anyone feel any emotion like that of imposter syndrome? Gwen, please.
Absolutely. In fact, I was like, Mark, I'm not sure I'm a good fit for this. And then it came to me that for people to know that pivoting and asking for help are ways to success, that just doing it all on your own and being the lone wolf and pulling through and never resting, and just that how important the self-care and doing the pivot, that my business has been through a number of pivots to get to where I am now. And I've had to reach out for help and get support. And when I realized that that could be a message that could be different than maybe from all these other amazing women that have had so much success, and that being an author in a collaborating book, as a collaborator, you're still a best-selling author. And that's how I actually met Mark originally. So I definitely had imposter syndrome and was like, really? But being able to reach an audience that I myself would not be able to reach, and Mark has that reach. It was a yes. And plus, I always love working with Mark. He's amazing.
Absolutely.
He is.
Bless you, Gwen. I personally, I never feel not good. And if I see there's a big, huge name, I'm like, I want to be part of that, because and it's not from ego or anything like that. It's just, I just love bettering myself and just doing good. And I honestly never, ever think anyone is better than anyone else. I think no one's better than me, but I'm also not better than anyone else. I see everyone on an equal plane. And yes, someone might have a really high profile and they're really successful, but you should never, ever undervalue yourself. So I don't ever actually suffer with that kind of thing, being totally, totally honest.
No, I appreciate that. And I think that another thing we all have in common is we want to genuinely help other people. So if somebody were to reach out and ask, but many times people don't, because they feel less than, they feel intimidated. What can we do to minimize intimidation? Is that possible?
I don't know whether it is possible, to be honest with you, because, I've been I just had a lady who said to me that she didn't feel worthy enough to, I invited her to join the Owning Our Ovaries anthology that I'm putting together at the moment. And she goes, I don't know if my story is strong enough. I've just read the first part of her story. I'm like, lady, seriously? And I think the thing, what we're looking at is it's very easy to go from a very privileged life where there's no trauma, we've got lots of finance behind us, and to gain a piece of success. But if we've come from a very abusive household where there's no money, and we've actually pulled ourselves up and through, it's more about the distance traveled. And yes, people see that I've got, 20 international best-selling books, and, and I've traveled the world, I've lived in 44 countries and all of that, yada, yada, yada. I am the person I am now. And it's not that I'm belittling my success. It's not that I'm belittling or dismissing any of it. All I'm saying is I still have to go to the bathroom. I still have to do my laundry, and I still have to go to sleep at night with a sound mind. And it doesn't matter what we say. It's not until someone actually believes their own worth that they're actually going to believe their own worth. We can say all of the great stuff to them, but as Julia Roberts said in Pretty Woman, the bad stuff is easier to believe. And with a lot of people, that is so very true.
I have to agree, Dawn. I think loving yourself is so important, because until you can fill up your own cup and truly love yourself and accept the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of yourself, because I think sometimes we all look for perfection, but you have to come to realize that the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, they just want acknowledgement and love, and they're just there to try and help you. So it's not about getting rid of anything. It's about accepting all parts of yourself and loving the good, the bad, the ugly. And then when you can love all parts of yourself and fill your own cup up, then you'll have more self-belief in yourself, and you can go out and take those opportunities. So again, great words there.
I kind of see it like the inner child. Sorry, Dee. It's like when those thoughts come up, it's our inner child saying, please help me answer this. It's them pulling on the mother's skirt, or tapping us on the arm saying, please listen to me, I need your help at the moment. And when we acknowledge that part of our inner child and answer them, and actually have that conversation with ourselves, i.e. the inner child, that's when they start to go away and we can actually move forward, and they don't resurface.
Yes. And what's good about that, Dawn, I will add there, it's so easy to get caught up by thoughts and then associate yourself and identify with them. But if you can take a step back and then parent those thoughts like they're your child, you're also taking yourself away from them. So you're not identified as them. So by giving them love, accepting them, you're not identified with them as though, oh, this is me, oh my god, what I'm having these thoughts, or that shouldn't be thinking that. You can just give them love, accept them, and then you're not identified with them as well, which is really, really powerful.
I've got a great example of a client for what both Mark and Dawn you're talking about, is not being good enough. And when we found the root cause of this client not being good enough, it did stem back into her childhood. But her childhood was always that her father constantly told her, you should have been a boy. I didn't want a girl. You should have been a boy. And I said to her, you will never be good enough for your father because he wanted a boy. I said, but that's not you. You are a girl. And then once she embraced, actually, you're right, her relationships changed because she wasn't then trying to please everyone and still not being good enough. She then learned to be good enough with herself. And as I say, it's interesting how we look at all different aspects of imposter syndrome as well. When we're looking at a puzzle, there are, 500,000, 2,000, 5,000 pieces of that puzzle. With every single one of those, every single person makes part of the whole. So if you go into anywhere and collaborate with anyone, other people have got some skills, but you have your own as well. And you are just as important as anyone else. Otherwise, that whole complete picture is not took to the full and it took to the best it can be. So throw away imposter syndrome. You're just doing what you do as part of any collaboration. And when you're on your business on your own, it's tough on your own because you're the one who has to get out of bed in the morning and do it all by yourself. But when you do that, you're doing it for others. So in doing things for others, that was my reason for getting out of bed in the morning, to help people.
I love that, Di. And we're all worthy because we exist. If you exist, you are worthy.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank
You know,
you.
when I think of a child, a young toddler, how curious they are, they're looking around. And I just watched one jump up on a sofa and she was like, whoa, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then someone said, get off of there, you're going to get hurt. And I feel like there's some moment in time in our life when that curiosity that we had was stagnated, it was ended. It was like, no, now we're going to work with fear. Now fear is what's leading us. And then decades later, after therapy, after mistakes, then all of a sudden we start to unpackage some of these things. So I'd love to have you share with new entrepreneurs or women out there who are interested in writing a book or getting out into the workplace. What are one or two tips that you would give them to empower them instead of having that fear that overcomes all of us and literally stops people dead in their tracks?
I think
Go ahead.
I think to overcome fear, it's something that you have to work on a daily basis. I don't think it can just happen overnight, especially if you've been in fear for quite a long time. But I think using mindfulness techniques is really important, so you can just become the observer of your thoughts. Getting self-love practices, even if you just put your hand on your heart and just breathe into the heart and be very present and feel your heart beating and just say, I love myself, I love myself. That can really have a massive impact in changing your state of being. Also, I'm a big fan of hypnotherapy to reprogram the subconscious mind, and also hypnotherapy can help to create feelings in the body as well. I think that can really help to overcome fears and to build self-confidence as well. So those would be my few tips.
Excellent tips. Thank you, Mark. Yes, Gwen.
Yes, fear. When Di was talking about feelings, I was like, oh, feelings want to be felt. As Mark was talking about thoughts wanting to be felt and to be parented, emotions want to be heard. I feel, if you say the words, I feel fear, that clears an instance of fear. I feel sadness. I feel. If you say I am, that creates the words I am create. So if I have fear, I am fearful, I am scared, that creates more of it. But if you say I feel fear, I feel sadness, I feel anger, you are deleting that instance of it. And obviously, as Mark's saying, we have lifetimes of fear and judgments and anger and sadness and all of the emotions, joy as well, and love as well. And being able to feel those feelings. There was a study done, and when I heard it, it's like an emotion can only be held for 30 seconds. And so I was sharing that, and I'm going to hold that fear, and I'm going to hold that fear so tight for 30 seconds, and it's just gone. And for me, it takes like maybe 10. And then later I said, I actually do some research on that. And I found that it was actually 90 seconds that an emotion could be held max. So if you have a fear or an emotion that is distressing you, just hold it, really be with it for however long, up to 90 seconds that it takes you. And the more you do that, the faster it happens. It's a really cool tool. Just feel your feelings.
So if I can then just go on from Gwen, so slightly opposite sort of aspect that I would look at, equally that we all find our own way and what's right for us. Whereas for me with fear, it's that moment of is it going to kill you or injure others? So that fear response is it life-threatening? If that is not life-threatening and not harmful to others, breathe it out. I don't need this. And once you start to breathe that fear out, the emotion starts to change. And as you start to then feel lighter and softer, then the mind can kickstart and say, okay, I'm nervous. And what's nervous? Very, very similar to butterflies. And butterflies could be excitement. So you can change your perspective on things and fear doesn't have to stay with you.
I love that as well, Di. Well done.
Excellent.
That's
how
beautiful.
I actually see this fear and the taking action is that if you follow your intuitive thoughts, is most of the time is encouraging, and that's when you want to take action from excitement. But the fear is ego based, is with holding you back. So whenever you feel like you are more ego based, then it might requires more tuning into yourself, connecting with your higher self, with the divine through meditation techniques. And that's going to allow you to open up your channel for more intuitive thoughts, more intuitive calling. And those calling is going to be more positive, encouraging. And then you will have less fear basically to move on that direction.
Very interesting there, Edith.
I'd like to add 3 quite practical rather than intuitive. We've had the 80% of the inner work. Now I'm going to give the 20% of the strategy, because again, life is the 80-20. Most of it is an internal journey. But in business, you have to know your numbers. You absolutely have to know your numbers. Especially if you're going to invest in yourself. And if you're not going to work out, okay, if I invest this much, how many clients will it take me to break even? How long will it take me to do this? And when I used to practice MMA, Sensei used to say to us, we get paid on the nose, not actually a punch on the nose, but the amount of times that we call, and all the no's are love nudges in the right direction. So know your numbers. Because again, you're going to have to invest in yourself. And when you're constantly investing in yourself, whether it's your accountancy knowledge, whether it's your marketing knowledge, whether it's hiring staff or team members, whether it's looking at new markets, you have to constantly invest in yourself, because if you don't, no one else is going to. And to tap into the fear element that we just spoke, when we walk into a room, most people, I've always taught my children this. When you walk into the room, it's not about who's going to like you. It's about who you're going to like, but also who is it that's radiating joy and openness and warmth. You need to be heading towards those people. Get curious when you walk in a room and network. And, always ask them, what can I learn today? What can I learn and what can I give? These are the things. It's like, we're not here just to talk at people. We're here to learn from people. And that's why Mark and I are probably when we walk, when I see a big name, I'm like, well, they're just people like me. I'm just going to go and ask some questions, because at the end of the day, most business people are actually winging it. Because to pick up on the trauma, you've got a lot of 6-year-olds running businesses around the world because their 6-year-old self is making the decisions. So that would be my 3 points.
Great points there, Dawn, giving us some balance.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's a sailor girl in me, Mark.
I have a quick share, and then I want to spend the rest of the time really having you share again with our audience about how you can work with them, how they can hire you, and what that process looks like. So the one that I'll share when you're starting a business or a new relationship or existing relationship that you're trying to work through is setting boundaries and asking permission. And that's a course that I teach. But I feel like everything comes down to feeling that we're heard and feeling we're acknowledged. And even when you're not saying something, it doesn't mean that you're actually listening. So I like to set boundaries, going back to fear or emotions that overwhelm. I'll say to myself, okay, pity party, you got a minute, 2 minutes at the most. Go, boo-hoo-hoo, that's it. And I say, that's it. It's the end. We're done with that. Like you were talking about emotions, that's gone. And so I like to set boundaries with everything in my life. Example, I'm not a lot of fun to be around after I've been working all day, and I acknowledge that. So I just tell people, you don't want me going with you tonight to wherever you're going, because I need time for myself, and it's nothing against you, so don't take it personally. And that's a hard thing to do, because I'm not going to be the favorite person, because I'm being true to myself by setting boundary. And then the last thing is asking permission. So many times we have something to say, and we just walk into a room, we walk up behind someone's head and we start talking to them, and you're not listening to me. No, I'm not listening to you, because you didn't acknowledge that I'm already doing something. So when you listen to someone at an elevated level, meaning you're fully present, that's a gift. So we have to ask permission. Mark, I have something really exciting to share with you. It's going to take about 10 minutes. Is this a good time? No, it's not a good time. I'm on a TV show. How could I talk to you? How could I listen? Because I'm already doing something. And people don't necessarily like to hear that, but once they understand, you are giving them respect by saying, I can't listen right now, but you are important. I can listen at a later time. So thank you for listening to me. I want to just go around and again give you the opportunity. We've got people on Roku, Amazon, Apple, on and on. How can people contact you, and what is it that you can offer to them, to their business, to their lives, to their perspective? Let's start with Mark.
So if you're looking to get seen, noticed and heard with worldwide digital media to become known globally through written credibility articles in major publications, radio, web, television interviews, press releases or author best-selling campaigns, you can schedule a free consultation at www.contactmark.me. That's contactmark.me.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. We're just taking a look at your website again. And what's the value of someone being featured here?
It's a great way, firstly, to build credibility, authority. It also gives you access to celebrity endorsement and brand association. So it's a great way to get exposure, visibility, credibility. This all leads to building trust. That leads to attracting clients. Also, it's great for marketing tools to share on your socials, add to your website, email out to your list. And yeah, it's just a great platform to get that visibility and exposure. And I'm very proud of it.
Thank you, Mark. Last question is, do you have any future collaboration opportunities that are coming up?
I have just confirmed a huge name in the hypnotherapy world. I won't say the name until I've done the interview, but very well known, huge. So I'm really excited about this one as well. And I sent out a bunch of emails yesterday to some really big names as well. So fingers crossed I could be interviewing some huge names coming up. So yes, very excited about the future.
Very happy for you. Congratulations. All right, we're going to move on to Edit. How can people reach out to you, and what's the value that you can bring to someone's life or business?
So I actually provide peace and harmony and health. So people who are suffering from PTSD, depression, anxiety, stress, and even from panic attacks and all kinds of like mental issues and even physical pains, I can help them to reduce those. Yes, my webpage is the best place to go, editbkis.com. They can book a strategy session with me just to see how is the chemistry and how can I help them. I have 1 month incubator program and I have 12 months program as well. I also do one-on-one and group coaching. So there is for any kind of taste, basically. And so I really love working with my clients. I love seeing them smiling again, because sometimes they come to me, they are truly in a miserable condition, I would say. And then like after a couple of weeks, see them smiling is like the best thing ever. So that's my biggest why.
Okay, thank you very much. And your contact information is also here at the bottom. Would you just like to repeat it for people who are listening on an audio-only platform?
Yes, it's editbkis.com, editbkiss.com.
Okay, and you're also on Instagram. Fabulous. All right, let's go over to Dawn.
Hi. Yeah, so if people want to get published, or they want to republish a book that they've already written that's not doing very well, or they want to write that book, whether that book will ever get published, or whether they do want to go publish and go big, whilst making a difference in the world, then they can head on over to dawnbates.com. I actually have a 7-week author course live with me where I'm giving each individual who joins, there are only 14 spaces available at the moment. Each of the people that sign up for that, we're giving away $6,000 in coaching for them to join me on that as a celebration for the 9th birthday of DBI. But again, if they want to make a difference in the world, a difference in their own life, then they can join us like he's showing there. There's only 12 more days before people can sign up and lose 6,000 in coaching. So, like they say, you snooze, you lose. one of the things I do hold space. I am trained. I've been a coach for many years. We used to be called mentors and consultants 20 odd years ago, but now we're called coaches. I've done a lot of the inner child work, and people are safe with me. And it does say a 7-week course, but it's 90 minutes of a group session. And they have 7 workbooks to work on at their own pace throughout the 7 weeks. So, but yeah, if they want to write a book or want to get published or republished, then come and see me.
Very exciting. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let's go over to Gwen.
Thank you so much. So if your purpose, if you're feeling that you're angsting and second guessing and you want to know what your purpose is, besides it being you, and you want help being you so that you can be 64 or however old you are and having lots of energy and loving life and being able to love yourself, you can get a free gift from me at giftfromgwen.com. Also, you can find out more about me on my website, which is gwenleopard.com. And here you'll get this PDF. It'll give you some insights into how to overcome anxious overwhelm and some new vital ways. It's about a book, 13 Chakras. I'm writing a book with 13 authors that are collaborating with me about the 13 chakras. And they're one way, a new way to be yourself and know yourself very well and have more energy than for life and for all of the things that you want to do in life. So that is how I can help you with discovering your purpose and giving you a nice free gift. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And over to Di.
Yeah, hi. So if you're ready to release triggers and pain and trauma in your life, then working with the emotions directly is what I do and how I help people. If you then want to contact me, probably the best way is through the website, which is youremotionaldetox.com. And from that, you can either book a call or you can email me directly. I offer either one-to-one sessions, or I'm just currently working through a business program that's going to start in the next few weeks. And also I'm working on doing some group courses. They're not live yet, but you can pop on the waiting list for when I activate the group coaching. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. Okay, lots of great information. And by the way, I didn't ask each of you to read out your contact information, but if you'd like to do so, please feel free. We have Your Emotional Detox, which I think you read out. It's just how you say it, spell it, youremotionaldetox.com, which interestingly enough, I had it spelled wrong and I had a C at the end instead of an X. So don't make that mistake. Okay, let's go to the lightning rounds as we close out. What would you like to leave our audience with today? Maybe it's a tip, maybe it's just a statement that's coming to mind, something that's coming to heart from your heart. Mark.
I would just say, believe in yourself, love yourself, and know that you are worth it.
Thank you. Edit.
I would say go to my YouTube channel, to Magical Karma Priestess, because I have free meditation there for you. Because if you haven't started meditating yet, then I highly recommend you to start it. And if you don't know how to, then that playlist would help you a lot.
Thank you. Dawn.
Own your voice before someone else does.
Ooh, sizzling. Gwen.
Live your purpose, be you, and love who you be.
I like it. Fabulous. Di.
Let go of the emotional baggage and be yourself, be free, and live the life you want to.
It's been an absolute honor and privilege to be here with you all today. Thank you so much. Mark, there's a number of other wonderful people who are part of the collaboration who couldn't be here today. And so we just want to honor them as well. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to have you think about it, you out there at home who's what you're watching or listening. If someone asks you to be part of something, why not say yes? Say yes. Something that you believe in. I'm not saying doing something that you don't believe in. It's something that you're not going to be able to live with yourself, but opportunities come and you have the option to say yes. And I work on saying yes as often as I possibly can. So I'm saying yes to all of you. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll come and join us on some of our other shows, and we'll look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you very much,
Jacalyn. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much. Mark, what do you want to have people take away from this show today?
I just think the power of collaboration and people coming together and sharing a common goal, a common mission, shared knowledge is really, really powerful. And listening to all of the women, nobody's perfect. No one has got everything perfect and all in place. So everyone is good enough. So I would just say to believe in yourself, love yourself, and really know your own worth. Say yes to things like you said as well, Jacalyn. I think that's so important. And yes, the power of women in business. I think women need to be celebrated as much as possible as well.
Thank you for that. And I just want to take away what you shared, which I think is huge, is don't be intimidated by someone's name or the number of followers or how much money you think they make or whatever they're showing you in social media. If you have an opportunity to approach them and it's in a constructive way, it could be a win-win for both of you. You never know. But if you don't go and make that connection, it's a missed opportunity. So Thank you, Mark, for connecting with me. And thank you for bringing these wonderful women to our platform today.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now. So, audience, I would love it if you would connect with all of these amazing individuals, because I promise you your life will be better for doing so. I just want to thank all of you for being here today on a Saturday, whether you're watching on the live or maybe some point in the future. We love to celebrate you. It's all about you sharing your voice. And I would just like to ask a special favor. I'm on a mission to get to 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We actually have 2 YouTube channels, but I want as many people around the world to be able to find us so they can come and share their voice. So if you could go to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and also Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and subscribe. It's so easy to do. It would really mean a lot to me. Thank you. All right, we're coming right back with our reunion show. We do this 2 or 3 times a year where we welcome people who've been on our platform to come and present 15 minutes about themselves. And then they get to interface with other people who are there. And we actually started part 1 on Wednesday. And we have so many people. We have part 2. And I think I'm going to be standing here for maybe 8 hours today with the reunion show. So we'd love to just have you stay wherever you are. Go to our YouTube channel. You can watch it there. You can also watch it on Roku, Amazon Fire, and all the social media platforms, as well as Zizzle TV. All right. Thank you very much. And again, please do reach out to these wonderful people. We'll see you back here shortly.